Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're diving into the world of electric vehicle batteries.
Specifically, Microvast Holdings, Inc.
You got it.
Yeah.
You sent over a ton of research on them.
Oh, yeah.
So clearly, you're trying to figure out if they're a solid investment.
Makes sense. The EV battery sector is absolutely exploding right now.
It really is.
And Microvast wants to be a major player.
Right.
But,
Are they a good investment?
yeah, are they a good investment? That's the big question.
That's what we're going to unpack.
That's what we're here to find out.
All right, so
Okay.
to help you navigate all this information, we've structured this deep dive into chapters.
Okay.
First, we'll break down Microvast's business.
Okay.
Then we'll examine their management team.
Sounds good.
And finally, we'll delve into their financial health.
All right, let's do it. What does Microvast do in the battery industry?
Yeah.
They develop and manufacture lithium-ion battery solutions.
They do.
But they're not just making any batteries, right? Their focus is more specialized.
Right. It's more nuanced than just saying they make batteries.
Exactly. Microvast focuses on three key areas: ultra-fast charging, high energy density, and long-life batteries.
Okay, let's break those down.
Okay.
Ultra-fast charging, are we talking like minutes here?
We are. Think 10-15 minutes to fully charge a battery.
Wow.
This is a game changer, especially for public transportation delivery fleets.
Oh, yeah.
Think about it. Downtime equals major costs for those industries.
Absolutely.
So ultra-fast charging is a big deal.
Huge. Okay, what about high energy density? What does that even mean?
Basically, it translates to longer driving ranges, which is what consumers want.
Right.
Nobody wants to be constantly worried about running out of charge on a road trip, you know?
Range anxiety.
Exactly. And then finally, long-life batteries. These are built for durability, which is key for cost-effectiveness over the long run.
So they're really trying to tackle those pain points we talked about.
Absolutely.
Smart strategy.
Yeah.
Now, I'm curious about the market Microvast is in.
Okay.
Is it a crowded space?
It's crowded, but it's also massive. I mean, the global battery market is projected to be worth over $322 billion by 2030.
Wow.
That growth is fueled by several factors.
Like what?
Well, obviously, the demand for electric vehicles is soaring.
Right.
The use of renewable energy sources is also increasing.
Makes sense.
And then you've got continuous advancements in battery technology itself.
So huge market, specialized products.
Yeah,
Seems like Microvast is in a pretty good position.
you'd think so.
But, like you said earlier, a company is only as good as its leadership.
True.
What's the story with Microvast's management team?
That's where things get a bit interesting.
Oh.
So Microvast talks a big game about innovation and partnerships, but their leadership has actually faced some scrutiny.
Oh.
There have been questions raised about financial discrepancies, concerns about their aggressive expansion plans.
Interesting.
And to top it off, they recently lost a substantial grant from the Department of Energy.
That's not a good sign. How significant was that grant?
It was a pretty big deal. Okay. The grant was meant to support the development of a large-scale battery manufacturing facility in the U.S.
Wow.
Losing it raises some doubts about their ability to actually pull off their ambitious plans,
Yeah.
and this could definitely impact investor confidence.
Definitely makes sense.
Yeah.
So some potential red flags here, but to get a clearer picture, we need to look at the numbers.
Absolutely.
What are Microvast's financials telling us?
Well, their revenue growth is undeniably impressive, over 39% year over year.
Okay.
But despite that, their operating and net margins are still in the negative.
So they're spending more than they're making.
Exactly.
Not great.
And their free cash flow.
Also negative.
So they're growing quickly, but it's
Yeah.
costing them.
Yeah. Like a good way to put it.
What about their debt?
Their debt-to-equity ratio is currently moderate, which is a good thing.
Okay.
But there are some concerns about their working capital efficiency.
Working capital efficiency.
It's basically how effectively they're using their assets to generate sales, and
Yeah.
some analysts are a bit worried about that. Definitely something to keep in mind. Any other financial metrics that stand out?
One thing that jumps out is the volatility of their earnings.
What do you mean?
They've bounced between profits and losses, which makes it tough to predict future performance.
Ah,
And
yeah.
remember those high capital expenditures we discussed?
Yeah.
Those are putting even more pressure on their cash flow and financial flexibility.
Okay, so we've got rapid growth, but at a cost, some red flags in their financials, and questions surrounding the management team. Things are definitely getting interesting. We're going to take a quick break here, and when we come back, we'll delve into market sentiment around Microvast, explore their ownership structure, and wrap it all up with a SWOT analysis to assess their overall risk profile. Stay with us.
So how is the market feeling about Microvast? After all, market sentiment ultimately drives the stock price.
You got it. And right now, Market sentiment. Well, it's a bit of a roller coaster, you know. Analysts have given the stock a moderate buy rating, but it's been super volatile.
So some investors are bullish on the growth potential.
But others are hesitant because of all those red flags we discussed.
Exactly. There are lingering concerns about their financial performance, those ambitious expansion plans, and let's not forget about those unconfirmed SEC filings that hinted at potential discrepancies.
Right, right. Is there anything else we can look at to gauge market sentiment? Like, how are other investors feeling about Microvast?
Yeah, one key indicator is short interest.
Short interest.
Basically, it reflects how many investors are betting that the stock price will drop.
So how does Microvast stack up there?
Their short interest is actually quite high.
Really?
Which means there are a lot of people out there who think the stock is headed south.
That definitely adds another layer of risk.
Oh, for sure.
Okay, let's shift gears for a moment and look at Microvast's ownership structure.
Okay.
I think this could provide some insight into who holds the power and influences the company's direction.
Sounds good.
So who are the major players in Microvast's ownership?
One thing that immediately stands out is the significant insider ownership.
Insider ownership.
Yeah, particularly by the founder and CEO, Yang Wu.
Okay, and what does that tell us?
Well, it could be seen as a positive sign. You know, strong leadership alignment, commitment to the company's vision. There's always a but, right? It could also raise concerns about potential conflicts of interest.
Ah, I see. So are decisions being made that benefit all shareholders or just the insiders?
Exactly. That's the question.
Gotcha. What about institutional investors? Are big players like BlackRock or Vanguard involved?
Institutional ownership is actually relatively low for Microvast.
Really?
Vanguard and BlackRock do hold stakes, but they're not that substantial compared to their positions in other companies.
So a lack of strong institutional presence could explain the stock's volatility.
It's definitely a factor.
Okay, so high insider ownership, low institutional ownership.
Yeah.
Anything else noteworthy about their ownership structure?
There have been some changes to the board of directors recently.
Oh, really?
Could signal shifts in the company's governance and overall strategy.
So something to keep an eye on.
For sure.
All right. We've explored Microvast's business, management team, financials, market sentiment, even ownership structure. We've covered a lot of ground, but to help you make sense of it all, let's wrap things up with a SWOT analysis.
I love a good SWOT. It forces you to really think about all the different factors that could impact a company's success.
Exactly. It's a great framework for assessing strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So, starting with strengths, what are Microvast's key advantages?
One major strength is their vertically integrated business model.
Vertically integrated.
Meaning they control the entire battery production process.
Oh, wow. From start to finish.
Pretty much. From sourcing raw materials to assembling the final product.
That's impressive.
This gives them more control over quality, costs, and production timelines.
Makes sense. They're less reliant on external suppliers, which is a big advantage these days.
For sure. Another strength, their focus on cutting-edge technology.
Okay, like what specifically?
They're investing heavily in research and development, particularly in areas like silicon-enhanced cells and solid-state batteries.
Solid-state batteries, that's the holy grail, right?
Pretty much. The holy grail of battery technology.
So they're not just trying to catch up. They're aiming to be a leader in the field.
Exactly. And let's not forget their global footprint.
Right, they have facilities in both China and Tennessee.
Which allows them to serve multiple markets and access diverse talent and resources.
Smart.
Plus, they've been forming strategic partnerships with some big names in the EV space, which helps them expand their reach and potential customer base.
So they're ticking all the boxes. Strong business model, advanced technology, global presence. Pretty impressive.
It is. But every company has its weaknesses.
Of course, no company is perfect. So what are some of Microvast's drawbacks?
Well, as we discussed earlier, the volatility of their earnings is a definite concern.
Right. Investors like predictability.
Exactly. And Microvast's track record is, let's just say, a bit all over the place.
Unpredictable.
Yeah, you could say that. And those high capital expenditures, although necessary for growth, are putting a strain on their financials.
It takes time for those investments to really pay off.
Absolutely. And finally, that moderate institutional ownership we talked about earlier, that could be seen as a weakness.
Why is that?
Having more big institutional investors on board could help boost market confidence and provide stability for the stock price.
It's like a vote of confidence from the big guys.
Exactly.
All right, so strengths and weaknesses covered. What about opportunities? What's working in Microvast's favor?
Well, the most obvious opportunity is the booming EV and energy storage market.
Right.
The demand for batteries is just skyrocketing, and that trend isn't going away anytime soon.
It's a massive wave they can ride.
Absolutely. Plus, there are increasing favorable regulations and incentives for clean energy solutions.
Oh yeah, governments are pushing for EVs and renewable energy.
It's a big push.
So that creates a really supportive environment for companies like Microvast.
For sure, especially with their emphasis on cutting-edge battery tech.
Sounds like they're in a good position to capitalize on those trends.
Mm.
But what about threats? What challenges are they facing?
Well, let's be real. The battery industry is super competitive.
Right, with big names like CATL, Panasonic, LG.
Oh, yeah, all the big players are there. Microvast needs to stand out from the crowd, carve out its own niche.
It's a classic David versus Goliath scenario.
In some ways, yeah. Then you've got the ever-present supply chain issues.
Ugh, those supply chain problems are everywhere these days.
It's a real challenge. The materials needed to make batteries, like lithium, cobalt, nickel, they're often in short supply, and their prices can fluctuate wildly.
Yeah, we've seen how fragile global supply chains can be.
No kidding. And those disruptions can impact production and profits.
Absolutely. Any other threats on your radar?
Don't forget about regulatory and political risks. Government policies and incentives can change.
Always a wild card.
It adds a layer of uncertainty. And then there's the negative market sentiment driven by those short sellers.
All right, all those people betting against a stock.
Yep. A high short interest can really impact stock price volatility and make it harder to attract new investors.
So Microvast definitely faces some big hurdles, but we've also seen some real strengths and exciting opportunities.
It's a mixed bag for sure.
So the million-dollar question, is Microvast a buy or a bust?
That's the question, isn't it?
What do you think?
Tough to say. I mean, it all comes down to this. Is Microvast's growth sustainable?
It's a gamble.
Every investment involves risk, but it's crucial to understand those risks and weigh them against the potential rewards. You got to ask yourself, is the juice worth the squeeze?
You've definitely given us a lot to consider. But before we jump to our final conclusion and answer your question, let's make sure our listeners have all the resources they need to delve deeper. We always want to make sure our listeners have the information they need to make informed decisions.
Of course.
So before we wrap up,
Yeah.
let's give everyone a little guidance on where to find more details.
Sounds good.
All right, in the episode description, you'll find links to all the sources we used today.
Yep. That way you can dig deeper into any of the topics we discussed.
Exactly.
Go down those rabbit holes.
And don't forget to check out the comments section.
Oh, yeah.
We'll be sharing some stock suggestions that align with the themes of today's episode.
Always like to give our listeners a little extra something to think about.
Exactly. And of course, if you enjoyed this deep dive
Yeah.
and want to explore more investment opportunities,
Sure.
make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Stock Analytics AI.
Come join the party.
We break down complex financial information in a fun and engaging way using the power of AI.
AI makes it easy.
It really does.
It does.
But before you rush off to invest in Microvast,
Hold on.
we have a very important disclaimer.
Right, we have to say this.
We are not financial advisors.
Nope.
And this deep dive was for informational and entertainment purposes only.
Just for fun.
Well, educational too, hopefully.
Educational fun.
There you go.
Yeah.
So always do your own research, consult with a qualified professional,
Yeah, do your homework.
and consider your own financial goals and risk tolerance before making any investment decisions.
That's the most important part.
Couldn't agree more. Now back to that question you posed earlier.
The big one.
Is Microvast's growth sustainable?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question. They're in a hot industry, that's for sure.
Right.
But they've got their challenges too.
Definitely.
Their success will depend on several factors.
Like what?
Well, can they execute on those ambitious plans? Can they handle the competition? Can they maintain financial discipline?
Those are big ifs.
They really are.
So what's the key takeaway for our listeners? What should they be thinking about after listening to this deep dive?
Investing in Microvast is a bet on their potential. If they can navigate those challenges and capitalize on the opportunities ahead,
Yeah.
the rewards could be huge.
Potentially.
But it's important to remember, this is a company with a lot to prove. The decision to invest or not to invest,
Yeah.
ultimately, that's up to you.
Wise words. And that, my friends, is the essence of the deep dive. We equip you with the knowledge and insights to make your own informed decisions.
That's what we're here for.
Until next time,
Stay curious.
keep learning, keep exploring, and keep that curiosity charged.
And happy investing.
See you next time.